For example, 5 years back or 10 years back in Thailand, if people were talking about fine dining, they would think about French cuisine, Italian, and Japanese. But now, young generation Thai chef, they want to do a cuisine that is belong to them, which is like, sometimes southern cuisine, sometimes like northern. So it's very more micro local cuisine. It's not just Thai food. It's like more deeper. And I think that's a very, very good movement, because I don't want Thailand to be known as only for like tom yum or pad thai or pad kapao. We have so much more than that.
Hi, and welcome to Big Food Energy, a podcast that spotlights some of the most exciting food businesses in India and around the world. Today, we're chatting with the lovely Chef Pam, who runs Potong, a one Michelin-star restaurant in Bangkok, where she serves diners a menu of progressive Thai Chinese cuisine. Pam is the youngest chef to win the Michelin Thailand Opening of the Year award, and earlier this year, she was recognized as Asia's Best Female Chef by Asia's 50 Best Restaurants. Set in a historical building that used to be a Chinese pharmacy owned by her family, Potong blends rustic and modern decor from the ground floor to the very top. Her progressive tasting menu is infused with storytelling, warmth, and a real sense of heritage. And today we're speaking to Pam about just that, how she took her personal history and translated it into a beautiful culinary experience. Hi, Pam. Welcome to Big Food Energy.
Hello, Smitha. Thank you for a great introduction. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's such an honor to be speaking to you. I had a fantastic experience eating at your restaurant some months ago, and so it's very exciting to be speaking to you about it to understand really how you sort of put it together. If you could start, Pam, by telling us, by explaining for people who are not familiar what Potong is and what progressive Thai Chinese cuisine is.
So Potong is in Thailand, Bangkok, and it's right in the center of Chinatown in Bangkok, a very busy road. And here it stands, Potong. And people ask me like, why do I choose the location? Why it has to be in this building? But then I think the building chose me because it belongs to my ancestor. So my ancestor, 5 generation up, he built the building from ground floor up. So it has a lot of history of my heritage, of the time that had passed, of the Thai Chinese history. So for me, actually I was Western trained and French trained in culinary, but when I come back to Thailand, I want to do something that really represent my heritage and what I grow up eating. And my mom's always teach me, the Thai Chinese cuisine. So at Potong, we serve progressive Thai Chinese cuisine, and it's a cuisine that is within Thai cuisine. So Thai cuisine, there's northern part, there's southern, central, northeastern, and there's Thai Chinese. So it's part of the Thai cuisine that history made up. And but what I try to do is, I think dining can happen in a spiritual level. It's not just come and eat, full stomach and then go home. I think it can be more experiential, and it can create memories beyond food as well. So what we try to do at Potong is to innovate and to capture memory and to create an experience that excites them all the way from start to finish.
Absolutely, and it is a very exciting experience. So last year when I went, of course, it was incredible how you've created this experience that moves the diner from the ground floor, which used to be the pharmacy, to the top, and then how you sort of move through each of the floors. It's a really beautiful experience. But if you could tell me, Pam, you mentioned Thai Chinese cuisine and that your ancestors came from China. What was the food like when you were growing up? What kind of food did you eat at home? And I want to understand how that sort of translated into what you're doing today.
So food is a very important part of my family and most of Thai culture. And I think in India also.
Absolutely.
So we sit in a big family, and I always remember my mom was in the kitchen, scolding at people sometimes, busy picking herbs and planning her meals for the family. She used to work in a bank, but then since she had my older brother and me, she quit her job and become housewife. So I was, stuck with her going to the markets, coming home, prep the dinner and serve the dinner. And I was at that time, at that moment, I didn't feel anything, but thinking back, it's all about those memories that imprint in me that food is a very important part of people's life in terms of emotion and in terms of
Hmm.
creating happiness and warmth in the family. And my mom's always cook Thai Chinese cuisine with it's a weird mix with Western food sometimes also because my grandfather of my father's side, he's Chinese and he's the owner of the building. He went to study
Hmm.
in Australia, and then he got married with my granny, which is white, Caucasian. So my
Hmm.
father's is half. He grew up eating both, Chinese and Western food from his mother, which is my grandmother. So in my dining table, there would be a mix of Thai, Chinese, and stew sometimes, or like bolognese. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's a weird mix, and I get to learn, different cuisines from my mom, and she learned from cookbooks. So it
Hmm.
was fun to be alongside with her in the kitchen, in the market. She's very particular in choosing all the ingredients. She's like almost like a
It's
perfectionist. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's as you were describing your childhood, it's so interesting how Indian and Thai sort of cultures are so similar because obviously food is a very big part of everything we do here in India. I think people don't say "I love you" in India,
Mm,
but they say "Have you eaten?"
yeah.
Just to sort of understand how you're doing and what your frame of mind is. So I think that's really interesting, and there's so many sort of similarities between the ways that we think about food. But if you could tell me, Pam, you've been to India a couple of times.
Yes.
What have you seen any similarities between the cultures and especially between the food cultures?
Yes, you would serve more food than people need just to convey your hospitality, and you always feed people with food, like overfed people, but that's the way of showing love
Yeah,
and that's the way of showing
yeah,
that you care. And yeah, I think food is a very important part of both in India and in Thailand. It's a way of showing um, caring and showing hospitality and
yeah.
warmth. So I think that's the most similar that we have in culture.
Yeah. From where did the idea come? You said that you trained abroad and then came back home. So where did this idea come about that you wanted to create this restaurant and you wanted to use the space that your ancestors had?
So when I came back from New York, I did a private dining, which is called The Table. And then after that, I have a brand called Smoked, which is like American barbecue. Now we have three branches. And then in 2019, just before COVID, the building Potong was free. I mean, like was available because before that, someone was rented out for over 50 years. So we cannot, do anything to the building because someone was renting it out, selling shoes and bags like everyone else around there in a busy Chinatown. And then in 2019, when the tenant left, my grandfather and my parents took me to the building to see whether I want to do anything to it. Because actually, I never lived there because we rented out for so long. We moved to another part of Bangkok. So when I go into the building and then slowly walk up the stairs and hearing all the stories that my grandfather telling me, okay, this floor used to be this, and then second floor used to be like a factory where people sit on the floor back then. And right on the rooftop, when I hear all the stories from first floor to rooftop, it really ignite my dream of opening a restaurant of what I of like a restaurant of my dream. And I mean, it sounds crazy because it's out of nowhere. It's not a location for fine dining at all. and the street are very small. There's no parking, there's nothing. But for me, that building is very beautiful, and it the best thing is that it represents where I come from, my heritage, my family background, and all those histories. And I think my dream restaurant cannot be anywhere else except from here. So that's how Potong came about.
Wow. Okay. And Potong is the name of the Chinese herbal medicine, right?
Yes,
That your
yes,
ancestors were selling. Is Potong still available?
yes. So Potong, the building now, restaurant, it used to be a Chinese pharmacy, which is called Potong Pharmacy, and it means simple, Putong in like more Chinese dialect. And I asked my grandfather why did his grandfather name the pharmacy simple? It's not like the best thing, right? But he said he wants the family to be as simple as possible and simple happiness, everything down to earth. But just life is not all about money or about other things. It's about happiness, and different people has different kinds of happiness levels. I mean, it depends on what you want to do and your goals, and you have to be happy with who you are right now, because that's at the end of the day you're gonna disappear anyway. So being happy is the most valuable thing that a human can have. And right now we're still selling the medicine, but the factory is now moved to outside of Bangkok, and my brother is the one who looking after it.
Right. That's beautiful. And so, how did your family sort of react when you said, I want to take this space and I want to create this crazy five-story restaurant?
my
Well, I'm curious.
my parents are very supportive. They're the one who share me, like, do it. No one has done it before. I think it will work. But my grandfather were like, are you crazy? There's no people walking past there. That is your target group. There's no parking. The streets are not luxury. But um, but I understand him because he almost 90 now, and he doesn't really in his lifetime there's nothing like a destination restaurants. But my parents were pushing it for me, and they believe in what me and my husband can do. So we just keep doing it and believe in what we are doing. But during COVID, because when we started the project it was in 2019, and then COVID really hit in beginning of 2020, and we were
Yeah.
like, we invested already, but we were very skeptical about how we're going to move forward because of the pandemic and the reaction of how people are going to spend money on fine dining. But at least what I believe in is that we invest in our own building, in our own heritage building, and we're not renting anyone else. It's just in the family. So investing in our own heritage and our own building is not so bad if at the end of the day I have to close the restaurants. No. But I mean, it hurts because we spend money, but then at the end of the day, it belongs to my grandfather. So we just keep doing it and pushing and trying our best to do everything, because I put all my money, my saving, me and my husband, into this building. So I think when you're in that position, you do everything just to survive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about the experience, Pam. When a diner comes in, you first sit them down and they're given kombucha, and then you sort of take them through the different layers. Could you walk me through what that sort of experience is and how you created it? Because to a diner, and when I was eating there, it seemed really seamless
Mhm.
and it seemed really beautiful. But I'm sure there's a lot that
Oh,
goes on,
crazy.
behind the scenes, right? Just to make sure that it looks perfect for the diner. So if you could walk me through how you designed that experience.
So the experience is designed in a way that I want the customer to feel a very contrast because I feel that dining for 3 to 4 hours, it has to be a roller coaster. It has to be something that excites you from time to time. And I don't want to
Yeah.
be all the time because it would be boring, right? It has to go up, down, and and sometimes, quiet and then say something. So it has to be a balance of waves. And at
Yeah.
Potong, we really want the customer or guest to feel that they're coming into, like, traveling back in time, coming to a museum of my heritage. So on the first floor, the guests are welcome with our kombucha. So we brew our own kombucha. Oh, so we brew our own kombucha, and every day is different. So we welcome that with for the customers, and once they're ready, they got moved from the first floor to the rooftop through a very small elevator, and that wasn't by choice. It was by the constraints of the size of the walls that
The building.
the building have. But then it become part of the excitement that the guests love, because they have to be like squeezing like this, if to yeah
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
together,
yeah.
and along the way up is like a see-through glass, so the guests can see what's going on behind the scene from floor to floor, the chaotic, and then see the dining room. This floor is quiet, and then up the floor. So it creates excitement before they reach the fifth floor. And when they
Yeah,
reach the fifth
absolutely.
floor, they can see more history that is embedded in the walls of Potong on the rooftop, and hear a little bit more stories on top. And then welcome with a charcuterie bite, which we make our own charcuterie. So at Potong, our food concept also focus on time, as in like things that takes time to do. So charcuterie was one of them. So that's where we showcase our charcuterie of the day and let the guests sit on the rooftop just to relax. It's like a decompressing chamber before the dinner. In the dining in the It's like having our guests sit in a living room of our home before they transport it to their table. And once they reach the table, the whole journey begins. We are a very interactive dining experience, and that's because I think, as I mentioned before, I want to create memories and do something different from other restaurants. And so what we do is we tell a lot of stories, but in a way that does not intrude the customers. So we see who wants to hear and who wants to just dine. And sometimes we have
Yeah.
AR, VR, which turns a picture into a video, and that's by option. Guests can decide to do or not to do. It's up to them. And right now, one of the courses is the banana, and that one we have a comic book just to put on the table, and it tells the myth of banana tree in Thailand that Thai people believe in. So that's
Wow.
one of the gimmicks and one of the experience that we have the guests do, or if they decide not to, they just leave it on the table. So we're not trying to push anyone into diving into our storytelling. We just have it there. If people really want to do the whole experience, they can, and if not, they can skip it. And then at the end, we give the memento as a time capsule, so they can open whenever they want to remember us at Potong.
Beautiful. And, obviously, Pam, you're in Bangkok, a city known for its amazing street food and market culture. How do you draw inspiration from all of this to create what you do at the restaurant?
I always draw my inspiration from Bangkok by talking to the local people, walking through the markets, learning the ways of the the old generation used to. So I think my inspiration from the people around me is to talk to them and to taste the food that they cook and ask questions, and always open our eyes and open our hearts to the old ways of living, and then from there we adapt to what we do at Potong.
Right. And would you say that there's a particular dish that that you think is representative of this fusion that you do between Thai, Chinese?
There's a dish called yin yang noodles, and the inspiration of that dish is a Thai Chinese dish called lat na. It's a noodle with like gravy on top, usually with pork and some vegetables. And lat
Mm-hmm.
na is a dish that I grew up eating, and there's so many versions. Depend on the household, depends on the restaurants or street food. So from that dish, I create a dish called yin yang noodles, which we make our own
Mm-hmm.
noodles, and the sauce is made from morels. And at the end, so the sauce is made from very thick morels, thicker than latna sauce. It has to be. But then at the end, I pour a pork broth. So when you mix everything together, it become that uh, latna sauce, or like the perfect thickness of the
Mm-hmm.
original latna sauce. Yeah.
Beautiful. You were talking about mushroom and pork. My next question, obviously, for listeners in India is: do you do any sort of veg variations? Do you cater to vegan diners at the restaurant, and how do you do that?
When we just opened, we didn't do any vegetarian at all because of the constraints of space. I mean, if you come to Potong, you
Mm-hmm.
know how small our kitchen is. We cannot store anything else other than what we do, what the regular menu is, because we also doing bar food. But now with more customers asking, and at the end of the day, we want the customer to be happy, because sometimes there's a group of six, for example, and one is vegetarian,
Yeah.
and to decline that one person is something that we don't want to do at all. So now we have vegetarian menu, we have seafood only menu, and regular menu. So we are able to do it.
Amazing.
And your
That's
I think
amazing.
your husband has the vegetarian menu.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. He had the
I think that
vegetarian menu.
started the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
ignite the whole thing also.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because when I do vegetarian menu, I'm not sure whether he or she likes it or not, but
Yeah.
I hope your husband really liked it. So
He really enjoyed it. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember we spoke about it, and I mean, through the meal, I was really excited to be eating all of the food that you created, but he was equally excited,
Mm,
eating the vegetarian cuisine. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
It
was
gives me a
wonderful.
lot
It
of
was a
confidence
fantastic
to
experience.
carry on. Yep.
That's amazing. Super. So Pam, I know that this is something that a lot of Indian chefs struggle with. Indian chefs who are sort of playing with the cuisine and trying to make it modern, but also trying to sort of honor the tradition of the cuisine. Uh, did you find that there were people who maybe took some offense to what you were doing, or some older people who were like, how can you do this to our cuisine? Was that something that came about?
I think before, to balance like the heritage and innovation is
Yes.
something that is requires you to understand the history and the foundation first. I believe in that. So every time I try to create a menu that is uh, a tweak of the original way, I would do the original way first, like prove myself
Mm-hmm.
that I really understand and really able to do the original of how things were made. For example, the duck at Potong. Um, but I failed so many times. I just tried and error, and when I was younger, I started to cook. I remember this dish called fish maw, and the way of fish maw that Chinese cuisine usually do is to cook in a soup. And I was really stubborn. I always, before doing the original version, I used to, like, a teenager who want to explore, and I told my mom, oh,
Yeah.
I want to do this, I want to deep fry it because it will become like a chicharron and whatever. And my mom's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why people do
Yeah.
it for 1,000 years. And I was stubborn, and I failed. And then I came to my mom, oh yeah, you're right. So I think to be able to balance it too, you need to learn the hard way first. You just have to fail, and then you realize that there's nothing, um, there's a reason why people have done it for hundreds of years. So to
Yeah.
to do something else, you have to try the original way first, and then create your own version that represents you. So I think that's what I would recommend for young chefs to move forward.
Pam, you were talking earlier about COVID, and sort of how you were planning the restaurant during COVID. Uh, would you say that obviously, COVID had an impact on the restaurant industry, but what was that impact for you? And do you think that impacted the way you were thinking about the restaurant and the kind of experience you wanted to deliver?
I think COVID has changed the food industry for the mass market, I would say. But for fine dining, I think it changes in a better way in terms of people want to focus on local cuisine more. For example, 5 years back or 10 years back in Thailand, if people were talking about fine dining, they would think about French cuisine, Italian, and Japanese. But now, young generation Thai chef, they want to do a cuisine that is belong to them, which is like sometimes southern cuisine, sometimes like northern. So it's very more micro local cuisine. It's not just Thai food. It's like more deeper, and I think that's a very very good movement because uh, I don't want Thailand to be known as only for like tom yum or pad Thai or pad kapao. We have so
Yeah.
much more than that, and I think chefs are a very holds a very powerful tool to do that because we're the one who give food to people who come to our country. And if we all do that if we all work together to cook food that we grew up with, uh, and by time people gonna know more about Thai food that uh, usually they know. Yeah.
Fantastic. And do you think that sort of correlates with the trend that we're seeing globally across tasting menus and fine dining restaurants, where people are sort of going back more to their roots and trying to build cuisines that are more representative of them?
Yes, yes. And and I think because every day and every week and every year restaurants open, so many restaurants, and it's a very competitive environment. And to be able to survive and to stand out, you have to have a unique standpoint, and you have to
Yeah.
find it. And it has, I mean, people create it sometimes, but for me, the most powerful tool is to have that unique standpoint that is very true to who you are and really represent you. And I think that's why a lot of local cuisine has come out, whether it's in Thailand, India, or like America, South America. So it has uh, become a trend that is the strong point of the restaurant that you can promote also. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, lovely. And does it ever get tiring? I'm sure it does. You're constantly, talking about your heritage and making sure that you're trying to protect your heritage, but also tell the story of it. Um, what do you do when you just need to sort of relax and be inspired again?
Uh, on my day off, I would, just watch movie with my daughter, with my husband, and just relax. And sometimes ideas come from relaxed mind. For example, I was driving out of
Yeah.
Bangkok last week with my husband, just two of us, and we were thinking we I was thinking to do a new duck menu. It's a signature, but I feel like I have to do
Yeah.
something with it to improve it, but not change it. And then the best
Yeah.
idea came from when we were talking in the car. So after that, we came back and I did R&D, and it's on the way right now. So sometimes good ideas comes
Amazing.
from when you're not really thinking about it and when you're
Yeah.
relaxed.
I will be sure to remember that the next
And
time
then
that
see
I'm
the
trying
new
to think
duck.
of some good ideas. Super. Great. And talk to me about the challenges that you faced along the way. I'm sure it couldn't have been easy. I know that you also had a baby along the way
Hmm.
while setting up the restaurant. But yeah, talk to me about what the sort of personal and professional challenges were when you were setting up Potong.
I was pregnant during the construction of Potong, and during pregnant, I think it was hormonal or something. I feel like I lost a lot of passion in what I do, and being a mother is something that I was conscious about all the time because, in a culture like this, people, what I think, it was in my mind that people perceive you that you have to be mother role in certain ways. And sometimes it's not the case because people sometimes they don't care and they don't think like that. But it's just me in my head. And to a point that I was really stressed out and just want to stay home and be a good mother, breastfeeding all the time.
Right.
Because if you stop breastfeeding for, skip the session, it's a you don't have enough
It
milk. Yeah,
impacts,
it
yeah,
impacts
yeah.
the breastfeeding period of say
The production,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was really stressed out to feed my baby with formula. It sounds so funny, but it's at that time it was like to feed my daughter with a formula seems so um, so wrong. It's like a criminal to do that. But then I thought to myself, like, why would I feel like this? Because no one has ever tell me I'm a bad mom at all. So I overcome that feeling, but during that time, it takes time. And then
Yeah.
I told myself that, do I want to pursue my career? If yes, you just have to do it. You just have to make sacrifices. There's no other ways. And I just, go along that road. And now I'm very happy. My daughter is a very loving daughter. She understands. And yeah, very happy right now.
And talk to me, Pam, about you won the Asia's Best Female Chef Award just a few months ago. You picked up that award in Seoul. Has that changed anything for you in the restaurant? Has that changed the number of people coming into the restaurant? What was the impact of winning that award?
For the reservation, it has go up for sure. This award has given me, opportunity to grow as a business. So I'm very grateful for that. And at Potong, in our kitchen, we coincidentally we have 80% woman chef in the kitchen, and my right hand
Amazing.
or my head chef, she's been with me for 7 years already, and she's a very strong woman.
Wow.
And after I received the best Asia's 50 best Asia best female chef award,
Female chef.
more female has applied. More and more female, young female
Amazing.
chef has applied, and for me, it's a very good feeling that I can inspire younger generation and also inspire the female cooks that working for me right now, and they can see light at the end of the tunnel that one day they can become uh, like me or even greater than me. So there's no boundaries anymore.
That's beautiful. And I know that you are also doing some work to create a scholarship.
Yes.
Could you explain what the scholarship is and how that works?
So this scholarship and internship program was planned for over a year with a non-profit organization called WFW, and we came with this scholarship and internship program for women, which we select only one woman per year, yeah, one young woman per year that is in need in money, to even survive in Bangkok. Like, so we want to support this young female from rural areas of Thailand they are very in need, very poor. So to be able to survive Bangkok alone is impossible for them. So what we do is we raise funds by holding dinners at Potong. 100% goes to the foundation. We don't deduct
Amazing.
anything. And we would support accommodation, travel expenses, pocket money, and a job at Potong. So because I believe that having this opportunity is a big kickstart for young female to grow in this industry, and I think we need more female in this industry to do that. It's just a small
Absolutely.
initiative that we do one woman per year, but I think um, we choose to do one because we really want that young female to really exceed in the field. We don't want to do
Mhm.
like 100 and everyone dissolves. I don't know where they go, but I want to
Yeah,
train that young woman to really exceed in the field.
that's beautiful. I mean, you say it's a small initiative, but I'm sure it's going to have a very, very big
Thank
impact,
you.
along the way. Uh, would you say, Pam, that that is your legacy that you're trying to create?
Yes, I think that to one point, um, I mean, when I was young, I always dream of, things that given to me, it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I pray that I earn this much money. I pray that I get this and that. But once you have that, and once you are satisfied and happy of who you are, and you feel like you are fulfilled, I think it's you will feel that you want to give to others as well. And I think that um, I can still grow as a person also, but growing alone is not, for me, is not changing anything to the world. But as you grow, and if you bring someone up also, it will be great to do that for me to feel that I can grow further. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure it's a fantastic example that you're setting for your daughter as well,
Yes.
for her to see what you're building.
Mm.
Um, would you ever bring your daughter to India? Are you planning on doing
I
that
wanted
anytime
to,
soon?
but every time it's about work. So every time I go
Mm,
um for abroad to work, I never bring my daughter because I would be like so stressed out 10 times more.
yeah,
But if vacation, I would bring her for sure. She would learn a lot and
yeah.
she would love it. Yes.
Would I'm sure you've come to India a couple of times, Pam. Uh, have you tried a bunch of, like, there is Indian Chinese food? Have you tried that? And
Yes.
do you have any favorite
I
dishes?
remember I tried this tofu with like
Mm-hmm.
it was like a sauce that is like XO sauce, I think. It was
Uh
very
huh.
interesting because it's almost like Thai Chinese cuisine. And
Oh
I heard
wow.
from Chef Varun from Mas. He said
Okay,
that
from us.
Indian Chinese is a big thing, a big, big thing in India also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, and I mean, everyone loves it. Of course, a lot of Chinese people who come down are like, this is not Chinese food.
Yeah.
But, but I think it's one of those in between sort of cultures, where you sort of create your own meaning.
Yeah.
Pam, so what's next for you and Potong? You have a Michelin star. You've won Asia's Best Female Chef Award. Potong is on all of the lists and doing extremely well. What are your plans for
I
future?
think for Potong, we are still very young and a lot to learn. So we just gonna, keep learning and keep pushing harder than we did last year, and to be able to put Potong in the world map. I mean, a lot of Asian people know Potong, but I feel like not a lot of, the other side of the world know us yet, because we are a very small
Hmm.
country and a very small city. And I just want to, keep pushing for it, and, you know, create good menu, good food, good experience, and, keep improving while staying humble. And, I always tell my team and my daughter and everyone around me, we're not going to forget where we come from or who is involved in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Um, Super. Pam, so we're going to move now to a rapid fire.
Excited.
Just just to switch gears.
Okay.
Are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, super. What is something that you get irritated by when you are dining at a restaurant? Something that, if something is happening or you see a server doing
Hmm.
something, it just really irritates you.
For me, I feel like dining is an experience on the table. If I'm distracted by surrounding, whether it's noise or chairs or something going on, I would be irritated.
Who is a chef you would love to cook for? Okay. Is there a guilty indulgence that you eat when you're all alone?
I always eat like non-healthy food, like instant noodles. Like that's my regular.
Yum. And is there a way that you make it?
There's a regular way, like with water, and then there's another version. So I cook dry and then I put fried eggs on top. Very easy.
What is a food trend that you really hate, that you're just like, you think it's rubbish?
Food trends of making food look beautiful but not tasteful.
Okay. What inspires you when you're down or you're feeling low?
My daughter, people.
And what is your favorite cocktail?
I don't like cocktail. I like whiskey and soda, highball.
Super. What is the one thing that no one told you before you started?
What's the one thing that no one told you before you started?
Yeah.
Started Potong.
Like before you started Potong, yeah, something you wish someone told you before you started.
Restaurants are like babies forever. They don't grow up.
Awesome. Super. Thank you so much, Pam. This has been such a fun conversation, and I don't know where the time has gone because we've just been chatting and I've been having so much fun. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for making the time to have this conversation with me. It's been a real treat for
It's
me.
a pleasure to talk to you, and your questions are, sometimes these questions are reminding of how I started the whole thing, and it's always to, step back and talk about it sometimes. But very nice questions. Thank you.
You can like, share, and subscribe to the Big Food Energy podcast for more inspirational and important stories from the world of food.